Okay, first of all, the word trigonometry is probably new. Maybe you've heard it before, but it hasn't been taught until now. So the word trigonometry comes from two Greek terms. One Greek term being trigon, meaning triangle. So trigonometry has to do with triangles. And metron, meaning measure. So the study of trigonometry involves triangle measurement. In the last lesson with the special right triangles, we looked at how the sides were related through ratios, and the same is true for all right triangles. So trigonometric ratio is a ratio of the length of two sides of a right triangle. It has to be a right triangle for this method to work. Okay, next. Okay, so relationship between sides and angles of a triangle. This part is super important, even though it's going to seem weird. So right here, this little symbol right here is called theta. And what this means is like designated angle, like the angle we're working with, the one we're focusing on, designated angle. The one we're focusing on for the problem. Okay, and then from that angle, you have the opposite side. So this segment right here is the opposite. Then, should I use, I don't know, okay. And then we have, of this right triangle, this is the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is the longest side. It's also the side opposite the 90-degree angle. And then this side is called the adjacent side. It's the one right next to theta. So the word adjacent, if you're not familiar with that word, it means right next to. Okay. Now we're going to look at these problems here. It says, complete the following based off the corresponding triangles below. So here's our theta, here's our designated angle. A lot of times I'll draw like this arc right here to remind myself that that's the angle I'm focusing on. From this would be the hypotenuse right here. Opposite, this would be the opposite side. And then this is the adjacent side. The one right next to. Okay, so here the questions ask which side is the hypotenuse. That would be segment AC. Which leg is opposite theta? It would be segment BC. And which leg is adjacent to theta? That would be AB. Okay, now try the next one on your own and see if you can get the answers correct. Kaden, did you already do it? Cool. Okay. I put my answers up here. See if yours match mine. And ask questions, because if you don't have this, then you can't get the next part. Does everyone know the difference between adjacent and a hypotenuse? Like, technically they're both adjacent, but you label the hypotenuse hypotenuse, and the other one that's adjacent is adjacent. Okay, we good to move on? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay. Can you put it away, please? Thank you. Okay, next. Over on the other page, before we actually do this top part, I'm going to focus on this like POW symbol. It has this POW symbol because this is really important. Actually, if you mention this next term that I tell you to your parents, I can guarantee you they will remember it. And here's the term. It is, does anybody know what I'm about to say? No? Okay. It is SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA. And 20 years from now, you will remember this. I guarantee you. SOHCAHTOA. If you mention it to your parents, they will remember it too, because it is used a lot. What the heck is this and why is it important? These are the trigonomic ratios. To remember the trig ratios, all you have to do is remember SOHCAHTOA and you have them with you at all times. So what this stands for is sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. And then ca is cosine equals adjacent over hypotenuse. And TOA is tan equals opposite over adjacent. So all of this is tied into SOHCAHTOA. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tan is opposite or adjacent. Okay, you got that down? Moving on. Okay, so here's the trigonometry. These abbreviations, sin, COS, and tan, are abbreviations for sine, which is SINE, cosine, right here, and tangent. So sin, cos, and tan are just abbreviations for sine, cosine, and tangent. Sine is, again, opposite over hypotenuse. And until this day, unless I write SOHCAHTOA on the top of my paper somewhere, I don't remember the actual ratios. Like, it's all tied into that, SOHCAHTOA. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent is opposite over adjacent. Okay, so starting with sine. So we have sine of A and sine of B. A refers to the designated angle. I'm using a pencil so I can erase this because that angle is going to change, but it wants sine of the angle A. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so opposite side would be A, and hypotenuse is C, so it would be A over C. And just so I don't have to change that mark, I'm going to go over and do cosine of A. So cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so adjacent over hypotenuse, that would be B over C. And then tan is opposite over adjacent, so opposite over adjacent, A over B. Okay, so now we need sine of B, cosine of B, and tangent of B. So we are going to now make a mark on angle B because that's the angle we're focusing on. Sine of B would be opposite over hypotenuse, B over C. Cosine of B adjacent over hypotenuse, A over C. And then tan of B opposite over adjacent, B over A. Okay, so now we're going to start bringing in some numbers. Not a big deal, same process. We're going to look at this right here. How do we use these ratios? Okay, so we have our theta right here, so that means that's our designated angle that we're going to be working with. Sine of theta is opposite over hypotenuse, so opposite over hypotenuse, that would be 3/5. Cosine of theta adjacent over hypotenuse. And tan of theta opposite over adjacent. Okay, next. Good. Okay, over here, write each ratio as a fraction in simplest form. We're doing the same exact thing here. If you feel comfortable and want to try it on your own, you're welcome to. Sine of theta is opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite over hypotenuse, 5/10. It does say to simplify. Tan of theta opposite over adjacent, 5/8. Okay, see if you can do the second one on your own. Here's the answer if you want to look up and check it yourself. You getting it? Why's my throat like? Okay. Next. For these next 6 problems, this is exactly how the worksheet's going to look actually. It says use a triangle ABC to express each ratio as a fraction. Remember to simplify. So we have sine of A, cosine of A, tangent of A, and then tan of C, cosine of C, and sine of C. So sine of A, that means the designated angle is angle A. And anytime I do these, I literally write on my paper, even as a grown adult, SOHCAHTOA, because then I can just reference this anytime I need to. Okay, so sine of A, opposite over hypotenuse, 16/20. And then simplify by dividing by the greatest common factor. Then while I have the angle A, have writing on it, I'm just going to do all the angle A ones. Cosine of A, adjacent over hypotenuse, 12/20. Tan of A, opposite over adjacent. And then for the last 3, angle C is a designated angle. Opposite over adjacent. I'm done. Okay, so like I said, there's no Schoology homework on this, but I am going to have you do some practice on it. This is the worksheet that I'm going to pass out in a second, so of course you'll put your name on it. But more importantly, before you do anything on this worksheet, you're going to write down SOHCAHTOA, because you're going to have to reference this throughout the worksheet. So SOHCAHTOA. And make sure you know how to spell that. Some years I'll have people like know that they have to use it for the test, and they'll be like, how do you spell SOHCAHTOA again? So that's how you spell it, SOHCAHTOA. And then use this to do the problem. So number 1 says sine of A, so just designate angle A. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so opposite over hypotenuse, like this. Then cross it out and put R right here. So cosine of A, again, adjacent over hypotenuse, so adjacent over hypotenuse, 12 over 13. Cross it out, put I, like that. And then you'll go through the worksheet. Let me know if you have questions. I can either respond to questions up here or go over to you. Once you finish this, turn it in, and then you can get a laptop to work on Khan Academy. Khan Academy is up for the week. This is on Khan Academy. Also, what we're doing tomorrow, where we plug stuff in the calculator, is also on Khan Academy. If you can figure it out on your own, good for you. If you can't, we'll just learn it tomorrow, and then you can do those lessons on Khan Academy after that. Okay, any questions? Okay, I'm going to pass this out.